What up, Blockchain Nation? What up, people? So, as you all know, it's been all over the news. The SEC, in the form of not necessarily the SEC, well, the SEC represented by Gary Gensler, this fantastic gentleman who is the chair of the SEC, has waged war on cryptocurrencies. As you know, he has issued a Wells notice against Binance and against Coinbase, which are the largest crypto exchanges currently, so two of the largest crypto exchanges. The case with Binance is a little bit different because not only are they accusing them of registering unlicensed securities or unregistered securities, and we'll get into all that, but there's also some allegations of money laundering, fraud, and also of holding customer deposits or not necessarily being accountable with customer deposits. I didn't exactly phrase that properly, but we'll get into all the details. Anyways, welcome to All Things Blockchain. So it's interesting. So what this means really is, if we go over here to see what the SEC has done, the SEC has filed 13 charges against Binance entities and founder CZ. As you can see, you can take the time to read through all this, but they said that they are misleading investors, failure to restrict US investors from accessing Binance.com, unregistered offer and sale of crypto assets. This case is the same for Coinbase as well. This piece, which is unregistered and offering the sale of crypto assets, but these other things that been charges are against Binance are not also, it's not the same case with Coinbase, with the exception of the fact that they are registering the sale of crypto assets. And then also a registered exchange broker and clearing agency. So which is just really a lot that's going on in the crypto space. Also, if you also look just for record purposes, you can see the SEC has actually made some actions, or some enforcement actions against some very big names in the crypto space. Just to name a few, I'll just from Terraform Labs, of course, with Don't Go. I've done a video about Terraform Labs. I'll put a link below. Now, something I also saw was interesting how SEC also has on Gemini Trust. Gemini is an exchange that's run by the Winklevoss twins. And also there's a very big one against Ripple. I don't see it here, but that's also something that has been in the courts for a very, very, very long time. So what does all this mean? The piece that's important, or everything is important, but the piece that I just want to highlight is the fact that the securities or the tokens that have now been listed as securities. So really, what does this mean? So Coinbase and Binance US are registered with the CFTC, which is the Commodities Futures and Trade Commission. Why that is important is because they have stated that all these tokens are commodities. Now, commodity, kind of like gold or silver, or like somebody who produces wheat or corn or cotton, and you sell that on the open market. So a commodity is different from a security. So by definition, if you look at a security, according to Wikipedia, so a security is a tradable financial asset. It refers to any type of financial instrument. Really, what this means is kind of like a stock, which is an ownership of a company. So if you look at something that's important in defining what a security is, it's something called the Howey test. So the Howey test looks at four things. One, there has to be an investment of money. It has to be in a common enterprise with the expectation of profits and to be derived from the efforts of others. So is this fourth piece that's arguable, like stock or Apple stock or Tesla stock or Facebook stock. The efforts of other people, how well the developers do, or how well Facebook as a company markets their products, will determine what the stock price will be. And so the argument is that tokens or crypto tokens don't fall into this basket of securities because it's not really derived from the efforts of others. So this is the piece that's arguable, or what the SEC is claiming, that's why all these tokens are securities. Now, if you look at the complete list, which is very, very scary, it's really everybody, baby. We have Ripple, we have Ton, we have Library, we have Dash, we have Algorand, pretty much all the top crypto tokens if you go to CoinMarketCap, except Bitcoin and ETH. Everybody's here, man. Cardano is on that list. I'm not sure if Doge is on that list. Is Doge on that list? A whole bunch of folks on that list. What I think what this will mean is a couple of things will happen. The very first thing that I believe will happen is that the SEC is going to put a lot of pressure on Coinbase and Binance, and ultimately I think what will result to is that they will be shut down and they'll be brought over by one of those big major banks like JP Morgan Chase or one of the above, and and that will just really allow the government to have control over what's going on in the crypto space. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but why all this hullabaloo over crypto. I think that Gary Gensler might be running for ultimately Treasury, to run the U.S. Treasury, and a lot of people on the blue side. I'm not a Democrat, neither am I a Republican, but basically there are people whose vested interest is to make the finance industry do well, which is they're lobbying for the Bank of America, the Wells Fargo of the world, and on the red side, which is Republicans, are more leaning toward innovation and tech. So when you see all these arguments about in Congress, and when they start to talk to Gary Gensler, what's going on, they usually lean on one side, whether they're supporting the banks or they're supporting innovation. Very, very interesting argument. Anyways, I think what will ultimately happen is that SEC, I don't see how Coinbase will win this one. So I think the SEC might overrule, might win, and they might hand over Coinbase or most cryptocurrencies, current exchanges to the oversight of some major bank, which it does be insane. Second thing that I think is worth noting is that for you to come out with a token, a crypto project, and list it, do an initial coin offering might be very, very difficult in the United States going forward. If all these tokens were to disappear, if the SEC were to win and all these tokens were to just are not allowed to be listed on any major crypto exchange, and people can't buy these tokens, then they will just be worthless, and it'll be very hard for people to come up with innovation or token ideas and make it available to investors or individuals in the US. That's the second thing that will happen, I think. And the last thing I think that will happen is, because now, according to Gary Gensler and the SEC, the only tokens or the only cryptocurrencies that are not on this list, or that are not arguably have been declared to be securities, are Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think what this will happen is that they might just be the last two heavyweight champions of the world, and this will ultimately affect the price of Bitcoin. I am not an investor. I don't give financial advice. But I think ultimately this might really be the test for Bitcoin's resolve, and it will probably affect the price of Bitcoin. Also because of 2024, next year, at the time I'm recording this, 2023 is the halving. So that the effects of this plus the halving event might ultimately affect the price of Bitcoin. I don't give investment advice, so that's just my personal opinion. So what does all this also translate to? I also think the last thing that might happen is that the governments will look at this and say they would like to, and I've talked about this before, to issue their own central bank digital currency. I don't know how effective that will be. I don't see how innovative governments can be and how they can build a decentralized, probably will be centralized, a platform that is reliable. I don't see that happening. So I think they will try and launch a CBDC, but I'm not sure what that would mean in terms of how efficient it will be. But what I also think will happen is that it will allow the governments to be able to track what we do, what we spend. They'll be able to say you can't spend money on this. They'll tell you to dictate what you can buy, what you cannot buy, which would be a very, very scary thing. In summary, I think this might really have a huge effect on the crypto markets, but I've always been a fan of Bitcoin and also ETH, and I'm optimistic that regardless of what happens to other tokens, I think those two will probably stand the test of time. That's just my personal opinion. And finally, if you look at the internet or the early stage of the internet, there were different protocols out there, and ultimately the protocol that stood the test of time over every single one is TCP/IP, which is what the internet was built upon. So I think in the same way where we have all these different tokens, and ultimately there will be a couple that will stand. Those will be the foundation for which the next phase of the internet will be built. When the first internet browser was created, within that protocol, they saw a time that money or value will be transferred over the internet. And I think the winner of this great crypto battle will be the protocol which that will be established. I really think it might be Bitcoin. Who knows if it will not be Bitcoin, but I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin. And I think that, like in the dot-com bubble where there were so many companies, ultimately everything there was pets.com, so many .com companies, and that crashed. But we had Amazon, we had Google, we had Microsoft, we had trillion-dollar companies today. I really think that the tokens that survive this SEC onslaught will be the layer 2 tokens, or will be the tokens whereby the next iteration of the internet will be built upon. That's just my personal opinion. Anyways, we'll keep on watching this and see how it goes. Until next time, my wish for you is that you learn more about cryptocurrencies, because crypto is changing and will change the world. And those who get involved early, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that's you, let's go change the world.
Still looking for ways of earning extra income? Clicky lets you earn by sharing content you normally would have with friends. Go to www.clicky.com and register a new account. Now you can start earning easily. Find out more about Clicky on any of our social media handles. Clicky. Create, share, earn.